Christopher. How you doing today?
Fantastic. I was up in Wisconsin again. I'm staying with my kids for a while down in Chicago, so I made the run up north and encountered bizarre traffic and new moon energy everywhere. I think this new moon that we just made the passage through has got people energized, but at the same time a little bit confused. They don't know where to go. They don't know what to do.
Yeah, and Mercury finally getting out of Cancer adds to this spark, and Mercury's now really in Leo. Like, should we have fun? What should we do here? Let's look deep down and let's have some fun. And so things are going to just keep picking up day by day, and especially, I mean, it looks like as you and I have really observed this week from afar. This is really things starting to move ahead, move forward, and then we actually have a really crazy August. So this is a big warming up week to some really powerful energy.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be an interesting kind of dividing line. I see a lot of people having to make a commitment. All the passion of Leo, and then whenever we have a new moon, it carries over for the next 14 days, and so that union of the moon sun in Leo with all the passion, all that emotional energy, and the moon getting ready to move into Sagittarius, Uranus still sitting up there in Aries. So we've got a very fiery kind of prevailing energy for the next 7 to 10 days. And I think that people are going to have to follow their passion, follow their heart, follow their desires, and get out of some of the old ruts and routines.
It's a good description, especially as this weekend Mercury's starting to square Saturn in Scorpio, and it comes down to fixed energy, Scorpio, Leo, which are the most intense, I'd say, of the fixed energies, squaring off. And Saturn's been anchored here to have us come into this passion, to go deep to our emotions and really feel out what we desire. And we've got Mercury here wanting to have fun, which comes into a square, which I think this weekend's going to be a lot of fun for people. And I think it's through having fun that we can start to discover maybe what isn't so fun about our lives. Maybe we want more. I think that we're going to start to have to feed into this hunger. Saturn in Scorpio is forcing us to feed the hunger and find out what's getting in between that. And I think we get that news. I think that we're going to get that news.
Absolutely, yeah. The interesting thing with Saturn's position, Saturn is now advancing, starting to head in a forward motion, and we're going to be seeing the moon catching up with Saturn. The moon right now is sitting down there in Virgo, where everybody's going, well, it's time to dust the shelves and clean the corners of the kitchen and that sort of thing. But as the moon moves through Libra and then enters into Scorpio, it's going to activate the tail of the dragon one more time. And we're going to see that South Node combined with Saturn's energy get a little spark from the moon. And that's going to be something that will feed even more energetically into the intensity, the passion, and of course it will be sparking things in Leo at the same time. So we're going to see a lot of karmic kind of payback coming back around this next week. So for those of you who feel like you've got unfinished business, I would say tidy up things. Because if not, that tail of the dragon does like to exert pressure on getting the details of your life straightened out.
Yeah, there's a lot of energy that's building this weekend into that Scorpio energy, because the moon, as it comes into Libra this weekend, is going to activate this cardinal cross. I mean, really, if you look up now, we got Jupiter and Pluto opposing, and now they're both squaring Uranus and Aries, and then the moon comes into Libra, and it's going to be opposing Pluto, squaring Mars, squaring Jupiter. So this weekend, as we're here to have fun, right, this new Leo energy, the Mercury here, and now it's squaring Saturn, I think this weekend gives us this really weird, like, oh, wow, like, where do we need to start over in our lives? Where should we where should we grab some traction? Because I think a cardinal cross to me is always like the pressure to move into a new energy. And I think that we become more pressured, like no more can we just be confused anymore. No more can we feel stagnant. And I think the peace of mind or the feeling of happiness or harmony is actually more in us going somewhere than just sitting in the energy we're sitting in. A moon in Libra, tends to want to sit in the harmony, yet it's not able to this weekend. The moon can't because it's squaring Jupiter, it's squaring Pluto, it's opposing Uranus, and it's all in cardinal energy, which is like pushy energy, push towards a goal, push towards a feeling, push towards an identity, push towards a relationship. It's like, where do we go? And that's what I think is the culmination of this weekend, is to come into this passion this weekend that then drops us into the beginnings of this week where, you know what, Leo Scorpio comes involved, and it's just, it's make or break it, do or die, passion or no passion, like very, white and black energies, fixed signs, not much gray with Leo Scorpio.
Exactly. And the interesting thing is that, we've still got Neptune sitting there in Pisces, even though it's still in retrograde position. It's going to start, getting ready to go direct. And again, it's hooking into the Saturnian energy. And we've got good old Chiron still bouncing around retrograde in Pisces. So once again, you're going to have this kind of obscurification. It's almost like a fog bank moves through in the process of all these dynamics of squares, T-squares, grand squares, grand trines. So again, I think there's going to be a little bit of a sense of not being entirely grounded, and yet really needing to get your anchorage somewhere, somehow.
Yeah, that's needed. A lot of that Earth energy is about to leave as Venus is on her last week in Virgo, which I'm going to be honest, I think Venus is kind of happy to get out of Virgo and get back into Libra here and get home, because Venus has been at its fall. And I think this week is about getting things necessarily together, like you say, almost like getting rid of any loose ends. Virgo does that well. Virgo knows how to clean things out. Virgo knows how to make sure all the knots are tied, all the T's are crossed, and the I's are, dotted. And that's what this is about, to get things together, because this has been a swamp that we've been stuck in of this water energy, which is not bad, but it forces us to look at our intuition, our soul, to go inside, to connect with karma. Karma sometimes is in a traffic jam, I think, because there's so many angles of how karma can affect your life and the other person's life and this thing and that thing, that there's a lot of traffic jams trying to break up as we're now building towards the big T-square. To have Jupiter, Pluto, and Uranus T-square like this for the next couple weeks, very rare to have. And it's happening in cardinal energy, which is new beginnings. I mean, anytime you're in cardinal signs, these are new beginnings. This takes courage. This takes strength. This takes action, and it's all squaring. And it's like, what are the moves you're going to make? And I think that's what this is. It's been a never-ending cycle of this, but it's starting to get to a culmination point. It's starting to finally get to a peak, and restlessness, I think, will keep building as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the word I got as you were dialoguing there was the word determination. I think that this kind of squaring energy is really going to cause people to either become very determined or to just abandon things completely, entirely, and walk away from them. And again, that feeds into the karmic cycle. So it's going to be interesting to see if people over the next 2 weeks end up making radical changes in their life, abandon some of the old vision that they had, and start searching for something new to commit to. But I have an interesting question for you here. Now, looking at the chart as it continues to advance, as we get these squaring energies in position, what do you think about kids being born under these influences? Do you see some very powerful leaders coming into this realm of consciousness because there's so much tension in the heavens, and it's going to create very strong and very committed souls who are going to really push and try to create some kind of significant transformation on the level of human consciousness.
Well, I'll use a good example. It's funny that you bring this up. I was thinking about this in the car today, that anybody born in the next 2 weeks, especially in the Leo energy, is kind of thankful, because the Leo energy as it came in at the beginning was, very sluggish, and we had Mercury retrograde, and, it's interesting to see these next couple weeks here, especially these Leos, is pretty powerful because of this big Pluto-Uranus square and Jupiter now, and it's a lot of that, yes, that tension, but more importantly, if we look at the past, the people who were born with Pluto and Uranus squared ended up being also in their 30s at the peak of their lives in the 60s, which was the 60s revolution,
Right.
So a lot of these people, and it might be interesting, I have never looked at Martin Luther King's chart and looked at his Pluto-Uranus energy. But these also were the times where people that were born around this kind of energy kind of came out and created the wild child 60s movements and the breaking apart. Of course, that was also more Pluto-Uranus energy of a conjunction then, but we can start to see the signals of what's happening right now. Is this is a time of extreme change for a new age. I believe that this is like new age energy. And so it's going to take these people who are going to have to frustrate themselves or find ways to step over any confrontations of taking action. Because you're right. I mean, this is a time where people are either going to ditch it or put everything into it. And especially when you add Saturn and Scorpio in the mix. I mean, and I have Saturn and Scorpio. I know all about determination to the road. Saturn and Scorpio gives you like extra power to get to the top because it's the desires there. It doesn't need food. It doesn't need water. Saturn and Scorpio is like, I'll die for it. It's like, how does that person have superpower strength? Saturn and Scorpio usually. And so and when you combine it with all this power, and especially because Saturn's still trining Neptune through all this. So you're right. There is some powerful leaders being born, but I think that these leaders, it's not easy leadership. It's not like somebody's just born into a family and they become a leader. I think that's going to be the new prince, that new baby that was born's lesson is, going to have to leave the way that the family's always done it. And if you're going to be a leader, you're going to have to be kind of the people's leader in a new way. And I think that leaders that are going to come into this energy are going to have to it's almost like their struggles make them leaders. Kind of like how Martin Luther King went through struggle to become a leader as well.
Oh, absolutely, yes. And the thing that's going to be really interesting about this, and I hope I'm around in another 30 years to watch these kids come on board, and who knows, the way my life works, it could very well happen. But the thing that I find very interesting is that the kids born right now are very, very much hooked into the U.S. chart, to the United States natal chart. And so they are going to be taking America in an entirely new direction, and they're going to be creating a revolution that has the potential to be transformative and that first step into a denationalized planet. And I think that that's really what a lot of this interaction between the planets is all about, is getting us past creating arbitrary lines that cannot be seen from space, cannot be seen from the moon, because they exist in our mind only. So some of those barriers in the next 15 to 25 years are going to start collapsing, and we're going to see nationalism start to go into a process of decay, and ultimately a unified consciousness, a one world consciousness begin to emerge. And who knows, it could involve aliens coming through and giving us a threat like in an Independence Day. I mean, there are a lot of different ways that this can play out, but the stars are predicting some very, very powerful transformations for America and for the vision of what the world needs to do to take the next step.
Yeah, I've been saying that this is getting over first world problems. because it really is. I mean, Cancer energy, which I think we have to look at Cancer, especially because so much energy's been through here, and we've got a big lesson here with Jupiter. We had the big Jupiter-Mars conjunction here. We have Black Moon Lilith here. We had Mercury retrograde here, and this is the big focal point, which is creating the T-square of the faster-moving planets, because Pluto, Uranus are pretty much stuck for a long time in Capricorn and Aries. So it is this Cancer energy, which is what is the last chemical that's stirring up the pot big time. And I think this has to do with comfort zones. I think this has to do with the idea or the understanding of how people feel in their lives, and that these feelings are going to change based off this new Aries Uranus energy. I mean, Aries doesn't mind being or Uranus doesn't mind being in Aries, because Aries is willing to put every new energy into effect right away. And Pluto and Capricorn's like, no way, Jose. And that's
Right.
why this is just very like intense, warrior energy. It's like in that movie, The Patriot, how the war comes in the front yard of your house and then it leaves. We're all having that war come into our personal comfort zones and rearrange these things, and whether it's globally or individually or collectively or worldly, we're going to have to almost feel comfortable with a couple ricochet bullets that go through the house. Oh, that's normal. There's a war outside, It becomes normal. It becomes like a zombie plague where you become so used to the zombies, you're just like, yeah, be a little quieter,
Right. Well, and hopefully that's the first step in transforming the vision for what our future could be, and getting us out of that mire and that muck. One of the things that I've always noticed about Aries people, and I feel very much that it is associated with the whole image of the sign of Aries, is that Aries can be very, very naive, and they have this innocence about them that I find very fascinating. Now, when you add Uranus with that desire to be spontaneous, that desire to take action, and that desire to be counterculture, to go in a different direction than everybody else around you, you find that Aries energy can take that innocence and act on it and actually create a new paradigm. So that Uranian energy in Aries right now is feeding into that Jupiter energy in Leo, and of course with the moon, we're going to see the moon moving into Sagittarius. We're going to see more and more of that kind of an interesting, change, a desire for new energy, a desire for new vision coming through, and it's born out of this very innocent space. So it's within all of the potential for chaos, there still is something trying to open that comes from the heart, which I think is very exciting.
You were so right. Let's just look at the reality. If we were to just sit here and live and I love Ronald Reagan. Most people don't know I was a registered Republican forever. But if we were to just sit in the life that's just so comfortable, and like you just have a job, you have money, and you just do this, and you have a car, and reality is supposed to be so different. The reason why Pluto is in Capricorn is the society has to change, the structure of the world has to change, that it's impossible to live life exactly the same way. It's like we all want life to just be one way, and that's not going to work anymore. And that's why this energy's here. And because life's more exciting than that. The reality's more exciting. Earths look different. Look at Pangea. I mean, as a kid, Earth is a constant changing. The universe is constant changing. And we have built a world that does not like change. And that's why this is here, is because change is what is part of the game. And first world problems are that we've gotten too comfortable and no change.
Exactly. And on a long-term perspective here, not only is this a pivotal time for human consciousness, but it's also perhaps the most exciting time since the emergence of first Siddhartha, who became the Buddha, went through that transformation of allowing spirit to fully manifest itself in him. And then we had Jesus, who became the Christ, once again allowing that presence to manifest itself. And now I think it's coming down to individuals who are not out of the norm, who are not exemplary. I think that a lot of people are on the verge of having a first contact with Christ consciousness or Buddha mind, or however you want to format it. And the heavens are aligning us so that we do have these epiphanies, these breakthroughs, these awakenings. And I really think that, once again, with Neptune in Pisces and Chiron in Pisces, we have a lot of dreams coming through and a lot of intuitive things coming through. And people really need to try and open up to that.
Oh, that's the key of what makes this such a great time is you get the best downloads you can ever right now. And it's supported by Pluto. It's supported by Saturn. And so Neptune's not making any issues anymore, especially now that Jupiter has came off the square into Neptune. Really, it's like this is the best time for spirituality you could ever ask for. Or more importantly, like you bring up, the best time for the soul to connect with the true essence of itself, with the universe, with the one, with the consciousness. That it's also a time, though, to be scary because you'll see somebody completely offline or completely zombie-like unconscious as well. That's the fine line of those two fish. You know, there's one side you're going to have it all the way, and the other side it's not. And I think that's what makes this such a unique time is while you have everybody swimming in the pot spiritual and conscious, you also have the other pot, which is blowing up people in Boston. And it's just like it makes for a wild change in the reality because you have the ability to access all the power, or you have the ability to close off all the power. And that's where this makes it so unique and so special of a time. And that's the way that the universe wants it to be, I think, that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah, and that's what's bringing us back home, really, is that we have to see the horrors that we are able to manifest and recognize them for what they are, and then realize, oh, we have to take responsibility for this. This isn't something that somebody did to us. We collectively allowed this to happen. So that really is the direction, again, that the planets are trying to move us toward, is that realization that nobody is a victim, ultimately, that we're all participating in this grand dualistic process in order to get us to realize we need to accept each other and embrace each other and love each other and carry each other through the rough times so that we can arrive at a period where there really is a higher state of existence manifesting all around us. So anyway, David, I know that we've still got people listening who are wondering, well, am I going to get rich or am I going to get laid? And
especially this week.
Right. So what are you seeing in the chart coming up over the next 7 days as far as just those mundane needs and desires that people are out there trying to attain or trying to avoid, one or the other?
Well, especially with Venus leaving Virgo this week, you gotta, I'd say, watch your cash right now. I wouldn't make any drastic investments right now. I would definitely find ways to make things happen. With Venus and Virgo, I don't know if you've ever met a Venus and Virgo, but they know how to take this card, my air conditioner remote, and make something out of it. That right now in your life, that you can be abundant, but it's not going to be in grand or lavish or, you know, these things that you think that, oh, I need to invest $500 and I'll make $1,000. Like, these things are not really working right now. That we're having to take the resources you have in your life to make the money, and this week really puts you to the final tests. And then Venus comes into Libra here. And, you know, I think that this is going to be about building the right partnerships if you want to make money. And especially as Mars is about to leave Cancer here in the next couple weeks, I think when it comes to money and sex, two things people love, things are going to switch here, but we've still got a couple weeks left, and Venus is about to be really poorly aspected here in the end of the month. So I think when it comes to finances, when I think it comes to relationships, when I think it comes to sexual activity and so forth, I think we're at kind of a weird place, not a normal spot. And so we're going to have to ride this one out, folks. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the honest truth. I think that, you know, if you apply your skill sets for money right now and be more practical and take more of a grounded approach, you'll see more end results opposed to heavy risk or, you know, selling big deals. I don't think this is about big deals. I think this is about accumulating a lot of deals, or, really using your inner resources, your practicality like you never have before.
Yeah, it's definitely a configuration that demands endurance, and it also is probably going to create a lot of pandemonium, I would say, for a lot of people, because they're going to have to finally address the career change, or the lover change, or the roommate change, or however it's manifesting in their life. Venus, as it's getting ready to leave Virgo, is going to have a little bit of a kick. It's going to have a little bit of an edge, and it's going to bring things down to ground zero. It's like, do you do or do you don't? You know, you're going to have to make that decision. So I think there are going to be people making career changes throughout the last half of August into September, and I think that there are going to be a lot of people who are going to change partnerships too.
Big time. And you know what? Venus in Libra does not like to make decisions. And then when it's opposing and squared and in a cardinal cross, it's like, oh my gosh, you're dealing with everything, and you're dealing with what the most? Emotions. I mean, there's just a field of emotional energy out there right now. And, you know, this isn't about mental energy anymore. You know, we think it is. We think it is. But the truth is this is about comfort levels. This is about balls.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. This is about courage. This is not about thinking about it anymore. There's nothing to think about. This is just whether or not you have the passion enough, the drive to just do it. And that's what we're building up to. And if you want to make money right now, and I think sex is going to get a lot hotter once Mars moves into Leo and does, you know, some great things there. But, you know, I think it's difficult right now in Cancer as this has been a lot of water, a lot of emotions. You know, people don't want to have sex if they're not emotionally there right now. It's just, you know, it's not.
Yeah, well, it's an overload of emotions, you know.
Yeah.
It's almost like having the morning after regrets before you even get involved with you know, that person that you meet at the bar or whatever. So it is kind of a rocky road for people on that level, but you know, it opens up in September. Things get a lot better.
So it does. So what do the cards say?
Yes. Well, first card up, as we're moving through Friday, once again, fiery energy, and it's coming from a feminine kind of yin-yang polarity here. So we're going to see people kind of doing the spark over the weekend. Unexpected, unanticipated emotional responses, reactions. Don't flip people off in cars on the freeway, because you never know who's carrying a loaded pistol. So, but at the same time, with that fire energy, there's a lot of rewards that you can win for yourself. Then, as we come out of the weekend, it's all about that family energy, the Ten of Pentacles, creating a sense of bonding and unity within the home. I think this entire week is going to be very good for families, and people are having birthdays, people are getting married, that sort of thing. The energy is going to be right there, spot on for them if they're working for the family unit or for the greater vision of creating a family, creating a heritage for themselves. Then, toward the middle and finally the end of next week, it shows endurance. This is the Nine of Rods. This is like, well, you got to slog on through until the gate opens. And this is probably that period when people are going to start really making decisions about where they want to end up. Is this career right for me? Is this job right for me? Is this relationship right for me? So next Thursday, Friday, and into Saturday, a lot of that kind of energy that demands commitment and endurance and a sense of long-term vision that we need to have as far as being able to proceed and move forward. The overall energy right now, and
That's my
you know,
card.
the chariot is all about the Cancer energy. You know, the crab, the chariot moving forward here, and you can see the definite duality. You've got the white horse wanting to go one direction. You've got the black horse wanting to go an opposite direction, and yet somehow by unifying them, by putting harnesses on them, you get forward momentum. And that really is what this week is all about, is trying to unify the yin, yang, the different levels of polarity, and then you're going to see the doors open up and you start to advance.
Yeah, that card's also beautiful. Like in the Raider, deck, the original deck, it's got the two crescent moons on the shoulders, and behind is the city, and it's like you going on a spiritual quest. It's a beautiful quest. It's like that you realize that the world isn't all about your life in the castle, but it's actually more about the magic that spirit pulls you towards. That's
Yep.
where the true power is. So I think that's part of this whole way to end this journey, right, as we talk about this week. It's funny, I predicted my horoscope for the weekend and the week. It's actually a great time this week. I don't think there's a lot of pitfalls. I don't think there's a lot of like crazy bad energy or anything like that. I think that this is just everybody warming up to what they really want inside, like you describe, and it's a magical journey. Even if things are ending, that's part of the magic journey. That's like what's so cool about it. And so I think this is wonderful for us to get excited for the new energy that's on the horizon, because, wow, this is going to be an exciting, from here on out until the end of our lives. I think from what I've seen in the astrology, we signed up for extreme, rapid, fast evolution that never gives us many breaks.
Right. And, I especially see that in the 67 years that I've been around, because I came in to a world where you could drive on a major highway for 45 minutes and not pass another car in some of the more remote areas, Colorado, Nevada, Utah, those regions. Now, of course, you try to find a place where you don't see another car, and it's pretty much become an impossibility. And with that, the technology is astonishing. The progress on every level in 60 years is mind-blowing, because your generation has no idea what it was like having the old telephone as the primary source of communication, and half the time that was dysfunctional. Now we've got Skype, we've got all of these different toys to play with, and I think that we're moving so dramatically, rapidly into a vision of the future where we become organically connected, that we are going to have to be able to accept the idea of transparency. We are going to have to be honest with each other, and it's going to be a brave new world that we are in the process of participating in.
It is crazy times. It's exciting times, because we are getting closer to our real home. It's funny that once you're at home, though, of that spiritual life, it's almost like it's so unified that the reason why we have this reality is we want to experience this individual life. So then you come back down here and you experience it. Now we're moving back towards that. So it's like every day that goes by, we have to unify more and unify more to come back to that energy again. So we're having to find that connection again. And it's about opening up to that. You had your time of being selfish in the corner, eating a chicken wing in your Escalade, not letting anybody in the room. Those days are over.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The walls are going to come down, just like in Jericho.
Be careful of those fried chicken wings, especially from KFC. I don't even know if they're chicken anymore. And that's where we're at in our reality. Like, would you really go eat KFC when you know that it's not chicken? I mean, it's crazy times.
Yes. Well, It has been a wonderful discussion once again, and we definitely do want to invite people to leave feedback and to share our videos because I think that some of the thoughts, some of the ideas are going to be useful and empowering as we continue to move forward.
I agree, Chris, and thank you everybody out there for joining us every week, and we're glad that we're back in the groove, and make the most out of this week. Get ready to go in your truest passion, your truest happiness. We're about to finish up Leo here, and you got Mercury here. It means it's a message of good news if you're willing to shine your brightest and look in the mirror and remember why you're so special. So
Absolutely, yeah. Well, the big thing is to get out there, share the love, and pass the love around because that's what makes the world go round.
boom.
Yes.
Well, thanks,
It was,
Chris.
yeah, it was a great evening, and I look forward to next week because even more powerful things are lining up. It just gets better and better.
I know. I can't wait to see what this T-square does, and we're building up for that. So,
Absolutely.
all right. Thanks, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.